I'm 26 years old, and I still count my steps whenever I walk through a doorway. 1, 2, 3. Always 3. My therapist says it's a grounding technique my brain invented. She says the mind does remarkable things to protect us. She says it with such gentleness, like she's handing me something delicate, and I always nod and say yes. I suppose that's right. But I know the truth. I count because the woods taught me to. Because the summer I was 8 years old, I walked into the forest behind my grandmother's house in northern Minnesota, and something in those trees learned the sound of my footsteps. And I have never fully believed, not in 18 years, that it stopped listening. This is what I remember. This is what I have always remembered. Even when the adults around me tried very hard to make me remember it differently. My grandmother's property, back up against 50,000 acres of state. I know what number now. I know that number now. Look later, as an adult, the way you look up the name of the thing that scared you.
As if
Naming it takes some of its power away. 50,000 acres.
the size of a small country.
When I was 8, I thought it was simply woods, endless. The kind of endless that had no bottom to it, like deep water. My mother had brought me for the summer, while she and my father worked through whatever they were working through. Grandma Iris was soft-spoken and smelled like cedar, and spent most of her time in the garden. She trusted me to play near the house. She told me only one thing about the forest: don't go past the red stone. You'll know it when you see it. It's big as a dog and twice as red. You stay this side of it. Nora, you hear me? I heard her. I was a good child. I understood rules. On a Thursday afternoon in late July, I went past the red stone. I didn't mean to. I was following a moth. Pale yellow, larger than any moth I'd seen, with wings that moved like slow breathing. It kept landing just ahead of me and lifting when I got close. 30 feet from the stone, then 10, then past it before I had a thought to stop myself. And by that time I turned round to go back. The stone was gone. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the field. I couldn't see anything but trees in every direction, and the pale moth sat on a root in front of me and folded its wings shut like two hands pressed together in prayer, and was still. The first thing you should understand about being lost in the woods, really lost, is that time stops making sense almost immediately. I know this sounds like something a child would say, but I've read since, in accounts from hikers and survivalists, that this is real, that without this guide to track the sun's position, and without landmarks, your mind detaches from the normal rhythm of hours. It goes somewhere quieter, somewhere older. I walked. I kept walking because I believed, the way children believed in the solid logic of forward motion, that walking would eventually bring me to an edge, a road, a field, something that wasn't just more trees. Well, the forest had other ideas. I passed the same birch tree 3 times. I know it was the same one because someone had carved a spiral into it. Not recently. The bark had healed around it, puckered in silver grey. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh good, a landmark. And second time I thought, That's strange. I went left at the big rock. The third time I stood in front of it and I started to cry. Not the loud crying of a child who wants someone to hear her, but the quiet kind. The kind that comes when you understand something you didn't want to understand. The woods were moving, or I was. I couldn't tell anymore which one of us was lost. I heard something behind me. Not footsteps. Footsteps have a pattern, a weight, a logic. This was the sound of something trying to sound like footsteps, getting the rhythm almost right, but not quite. Like it had learned walking from a distance and was now practicing. I stopped. I held my breath. The sound stopped a half second after I did, and that half second was the most frightening thing I had ever experienced in my short life, and remains among the most frightening things I have experienced since. Because it meant something had been following closely enough to need a moment to register that I'd stop. Something that was paying very careful attention to me. I did not turn around. 8-year-old Nora made one very good decision in those woods, and it was that she did not turn around. I walked forward. I counted my steps. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't know when I started counting. I only know that counting made me feel like the ground was real. Like my feet were real. Like I was still the same person who had left my grandmother's yard in that morning. I found the house when the light was going orange. I want to say gold, the way people say golden hour, but it wasn't golden. It was the orange of something old burning. Embers, not flame. And in that light, the house at the center of the small clearing looked like it had been standing there for a century. Without anyone noticing, it was slowly becoming part of the ground. It was small, 1 story. The kind of structure people once called a hunting cabin, but this had not been hunted from in a very long time. The windows were dark. The porch had collapsed on one side. The front door stood open by about 6 inches. And the darkness inside it was a different quality of dark than the gathering dark of the woods around me. Thicker somehow. More deliberate, like it had been collecting there. But there was a candle on the porch railing, lit, steady. No waver in the flame despite the wind I could feel moving through the trees. And beside the candle, a tin cup, and in the tin cup, I crept close enough to see something dark and steaming. Something left, recently. Something left, and I understood with a slow and terrible clarity. It was for me. I sat on the porch step that hadn't collapsed, and I looked at the cup, but I did not touch it. I was 8, and I had been walking in circles by something I couldn't see. But I had also been read fairy tales. I understood the grammar of this moment. You did not drink from the cup. You did not go through the open door. You sat very still and you waited and you counted. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.